Okay, first of all, Raja Ram Mohan Roy was no saint. Okay, he was a British agent. He was a stooge of the British. When India's historians glorify somebody to the high heavens, it is a sure short sign that that person was a British agent. Okay, I encourage you to look up Raja Ram Mohan Roy's true history. Everything is available online. Google Raja Ram Mohan Roy and look up what you find. Look up his own writings. Don't look up what other people have said about him. Those are opinions. I would like you to read what Raja Ram Mohan Roy himself wrote, the letters he wrote to the British administrators and the kings, and what he was saying in those letters. He was saying that we need to educate the Indians. Indians are backward. They still worship the Vedas. They still study the Vedas. Sanskrit is a backward language. We need to educate them. We need to liberate them from the chains of backward Hinduism, etc. Look up Raja Ram Mohan Roy's own writings, and then you will know the truth about this stooge of the British. Now, what about Sati Pratha? Right? So we are told that Ram Mohan Roy abolished this horrible barbaric practice. We are told that Lord William Bentinck, the great reformer viceroy of India, did an enormous favor to the people of India by abolishing this horrible practice of burning our women. So I would like to ask you a question, my friends. And I want you to ask this question to yourself and answer it for yourself. You don't have to answer me. Answer this simple question. In the living memory of your family, only your family, not the neighbor's family, in the living memory of your own family, is there any recollection of any of your ancestors, female ancestors or relatives committing sati? Has anybody in your family, in living memory, in the last 100, 200, 500,000 years, has anyone ever committed sati? I have asked this question to countless people, and the answer is always the same. Not in my family. It's always somewhere else. It's in the textbooks. Now, who wrote these textbooks? It's the British. Let me ask you another question. We had these horrific famines during the British times. The British engineered famine after famine after famine in India because Indians were great fighters, and you can't fight if you're famished. If you can't fight if you are starving. So they engineered famine after famine in India. Hundreds of millions of Indians died. I'm not kidding. It's not a small number. I know it's a horrific number. At conservative estimates, at least 100 million people died. You can just add up the numbers that you will find in history records. So if so many Indians died, why weren't there millions of cases of sati? Why? I mean, if sati was so widespread, it was such a horrible disease of the society, why weren't there millions of cases of sati during all these famines that took place? I mean, is there any answer to that? Here's one more example. One of the great queens of recent times, Ahalya Bai Holkar, when she became a widow, she wanted to commit sati because she felt lost without her husband. So it was an optional thing. Some people would do it, and she was strongly dissuaded by her father-in-law, the father of her husband. He said, "Do not do it. I will not allow you to take such a step." So she listened to him, and she went on to become one of the greatest and saintliest queens of the past recent memory in India. So once again, you have an example of one individual who wants to leave the world in this manner, and she is dissuaded by her family member, by her father-in-law, from doing it. So it is the opposite of what people say. No one was forcing anybody to commit sati. You may have one or two random cases here and there, and those are then spread everywhere as if it is the norm and not the exception. This atrocity literature of sati, it's called atrocity literature. It was popularized by British missionaries who came to India with a singular intention to destroy Indian culture and convert everybody to their foreign religion. So to do that, they had to weaken the foundations of Indians' culture, and they had to portray India's culture as barbaric and primitive and backward. So they found a few here and there random incidences across the country, a few of them, and they started writing this atrocity literature that Indians burned their women alive when these women become widows. And the thing is this, in India, self-immolation is an ancient practice. It is usually an act of protest or it is an act of penance. And this is spread throughout the dharmic world, not just in India. In the 1960s, there was this famous Vietnamese monk who burned himself alive, who self-immolated, because in order to protest the forcible Christianization of his country. So this happened in Vietnam. It is a man. You will see many instances of men in India self-immolating in protest or in penance. Okay, I can give examples. I will not go into that right now. And such practices were spread throughout the ancient Indo-European world. So this popular notion that Indians practice this horrible practice, it is an invention, a creation of Western missionaries in order to malign India's culture, and in order to weaken the foundations of India's culture, and to precipitate the spread of their religion into India. So this is entirely a lie, and we need to educate ourselves about what the truth really is.